Hello Vlogalogians, how is it going? I hope you're doing well. I am taking a quick break from work, so I gotta be kinda quick about this. There's a lot of work to get done in a very short period of time, and I'm scrambling right now. So yeah, interesting discussion this week about disconnect or connect. I think we probably landed more on the side of why would you not internet, which may be a little bit of a sampling error. If I'm being honest, you know, we didn't have a lot of write-in campaigns. That doesn't even, I don't know. But it did bring up something I was thinking about. I've been reading a lot of articles now, and there's a thing that's weird, to me at least, about this current generation of people, and that is that there are these people with all kinds of power and who are thought leaders and blah, and they're my age or a little older. And it got me thinking about the internet in particular, but also just kind of how society works. And you know, people were talking about, you know, trying to get around without GPS, which is something that I personally struggle with. I know that I used to, but I can't fathom it now. It'd be like, how would I know where the Wi-Fi is without the little brick that I carry around with me to tell me all those things? But it got me to thinking about, in software we have this idea of semantic versioning, right? So when you download an app or you look at something, it'll be, you know, version 1.2.3, and what that means is version 1 is like it's a marketing decision, really. When we release a big version 1, it's like, this is a big new overhaul, it's 75 times better. And but what's also interesting about that is that when you bump up that first version from version 1 to version 2.0, what that means is that everybody who is using 1.0, things are gonna break. Because a lot of times it's not just an app that's used in isolation. Sometimes, you know, you'll release some code and someone else will be like, oh, that's good for my project, I'll use that in part of this, and someone else will use that as part of that. And when you go from 1.0 to 2.0, they know, okay, if I upgrade to 2.0, I'm probably going to need to make some changes in my thing, because the way that your thing works is going to be different now. It's a big, huge feature release. The second one is kind of incremental improvements. So if you go from 1.2.3 to 1.3.3, it's like, oh, we added puppies. Everything else still works, but we added puppies. You're welcome. And to these people who are also using your code are like, oh, it's cool, we can just upgrade. And then maybe if we want to use puppies, if we don't, and then the last one is for bug fixes. So 1.3. So you go to 1.3.0, now you have 1.3.1, and they're like, all the puppies were dying. Sorry, 1.3.1 adds puppy chow. And now they're not starving. I don't know why I turned this into some morbid animal killing software thing. Yeah. But it got me to thinking about how this sort of applies to life right now. Because I remember when I was a little kid, and my parents are fairly tech savvy and continue to be, but I remember even as a little kid sometimes they'd be having issues with VCR and I'd be like, oh, I'll fix it. But I look now and it feels like we have made a major upgrade, right? With the way that internet and just connectivity kind of impacts our lives. And I think what's weird about that now is that, you know, when you were a kid and you were watching too much TV, your parents could be like, you shouldn't watch too much TV. We know what TV is, we know how it works, and you're just gonna turn into a fat ass. Let's ignore. But the thing with this whole internet culture is that we're suddenly finding ourselves in a position where my parents didn't invent the internet. My grandparents certainly didn't. My grandparents don't know. I have relatives who have no idea how to make their computers do things. And it's very weird now that this is probably one of those culture shifts that is a breaking change, right? Where the way that you went about living your life prior to this upgrade is not going to work anymore. So if you have dependencies on the way life works, It's just not going to happen that way. We don't have payphones. What do you do? If you're the type of person that's, you know, I'm not ready to upgrade this whole internet connected culture smartphone thing, it's a breaking change, and you're in trouble now because the previous version is not supported anymore. We don't have phones, we don't carry as many maps places, we're at a point where we find it very weird to talk to strangers, and so asking someone for directions becomes a little more complicated. And it's just fascinating to me. But I'm a little nervous that because of that, we no longer have that group of people who have experienced things before us, and yes, we've made incremental changes, but they at least knew what it was all about. And now we're in a position where Mark Zuckerberg is like a influencer. That kind of scares me, because I don't know. I'm sure he's a smart guy. I'm sure. I don't know. Never met the guy. I'm sure he's a smart enough guy, but it does also concern me that there's not kind of that historical precedent of, you know, this is how things work and let's move forward from there. And maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it's, you know, completely turning of the tables, but I just kind of wonder what it is about the internet that we haven't just kind of incrementally gone. We've kind of flipped a lot of society, and what does that mean going forward? So I'm interested to know your thoughts. Do you think that the internet and our current kind of interconnected culture is a breaking change, as it were? Is it going to be impossible to live, you know, a reasonable life without adopting these things? And what does it mean that people my age are running things? As someone my age, I wouldn't endorse me as a thought leader necessarily. And I'm sure that's just a little bit of bias, but it doesn't make me nervous. So, anyway, that's what I have for a topic. I'm going to go back to thought leading, because apparently my generation is now qualified to do that. Bye.